What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Jobbers and Goons, another member of the coffee shop, as we are on the coffee shop channel today. And featured with me is my boy, Lumos Theromax. If you want to go ahead and say what's up.
What's up, guys? It's Lumos Theromax. I normally cover lots of Lantern content, but I love me some both Naruto and Yu Yu Hakusho, man. It's my favorite, some of my favorite anime.
Yeah, and that's what brings us here today. Basically, we're gonna discuss a narrative battle between Team Yusuke and Madara Uchiha from Naruto. Now, this is how a narrative battle occurs a little differently than a regular versus battle, so I'll explain it to you guys. And if you guys want to see a regular versus battle between these two, run it up to 100 likes and I can do that. But getting that out the way, looking at a narrative battle, essentially we go over the stories and narratives real quick of each character, and then we talk about how we think the battle would go if there was one writer for both sides. And basically we go with how we think the author would intend the battle to go based on how each character is treated in their own stories. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's begin. So first, I will go over Yusuke Urameshi. Now, Yusuke is a character, starts out a young delinquent, and this lifestyle, it leads everyone to think he's, destined to meet his end at a pretty early age. And this does occur, however, it occurs because he was selfless and tried to save someone. And this resulted in him having a fate different than what the gods assigned him or assumed him to have. And it granted him access to the chance to become a spirit detective, which he did. And along the way, throughout the story, he gets stronger and stronger, progresses in power, and eventually we realize he is actually, some of his inherited power comes from a demon lord. So he actually is part demon. And this awakening and mastery of his demon power leads Yusuke to reach new heights of power, as he is one of the most unlikely heroes, but a hero nonetheless in his story. And I'm going to let Lumos break a character down. Go ahead and choose who you want to break down in the bunch.
So I tell you what, I know Kuwabara is the biggest goon ever, so I'll let you have that one down the way. I'll do Kurama, actually, as a matter of fact. So Kurama was one of the most powerful demons in verse, known as Yoko Kurama. Wound up being trapped wound up housing himself within a human body after a massive fight, and actually kind of learned and developed to be human as time went on. He developed human emotions and care for all the beings that existed there. And actually, way on down the road, wound up crossing paths with a bunch of the other characters, actually trying to drag him into back to more of his primal roots of being that more demonic in nature. But his new human body actually, or his new human perceptions actually kind of changed that for him and pushed him more towards trying to help people instead of just trying to trick, troll, or kill people like he was back when he was Yoko Kurama. And his character has a pretty dramatic change from his inception, but he is by far one of the most cunning and intellectual characters that exist kind of on his side, to say the least.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do uh, Kuwabara since, so, and you'll cover Hiei after this, but Kuwabara is a delinquent as well, but he was always kind of second to Yusuke, and this pissed him off. He was basically one of the only characters at the time in their youth that would challenge Yusuke openly and be like, no, I want to be the top dog like you are. And this would lead to, obviously, him getting his ass beat. But after the passing of Yusuke, dynamics shifted, and we started to see that there was a lot more to Kuwabara than just like an attempted goon. He actually has an insane spirit sense, particularly like detecting power and aura and all that. He's stronger than people give it credit for, and he has the power of love on his side. If his girl's there, he's getting the W. He can
True.
also obviously produce things like his legendary sword, which can even go as far as cutting through dimensions. So overall, Kuwabara was a punk who turned himself into one of the most legendary humans, I'd say, in the verse, which is quite impressive for someone who wasn't really supposed to be much in the world.
True, man. So, for Hiei was the offspring of a frost demon and a fire demon, which is like super taboo. So we got thrown over the side, and unlike everyone else, he just had an absolute garbage origin where he ran around as a bandit for quite some time, but having been angered throughout his entire childhood as to not necessarily having anything, he wanted to find the people who had cast him out and essentially make them suffer. And he spent a long journey of his amassing power so he essentially could find those people and do those things. But as time goes on, he essentially does find them and develops really hardcore an attachment to actually his sister, Yukina. And is, despite his really cold and brutal demeanor, he genuinely does want to do the right thing, especially whenever it comes to like the people he considers equals or the people he considers genuinely good rivals, like Yusuke and the rest of the crew. And out of everyone there, Hiei was by far the most cold and brutal, but was honestly changed in his interactions with Yusuke because he saw that somebody could be real, could be willing to throw down with you, but also not be inherently just evil or wrong. And I think that was a really important change to his character that developed him from just being like another demon that existed out there who just wanted to consume human souls. But of course, he's got the Dragon of the Darkness flame, he's got wild sword skills, he's got the Jugan Eye, and this guy is a nightmare on the battlefield. He is honestly one of the most like tenacious opponents you'll come across here for sure.
Oh, I agree. Finally, to wrap this up before we get into the actual narrative battle, and remember, like, subscribe, hit the like button, everything before we do that. And this is Madara Uchiha, one of the most legendary big bads in anime history, manga history, whatever you want to call it. Madara comes from a very prestigious clan in the Naruto verse, the Uchiha Ninja Clan. Now, this clan is renowned particularly for their prowess with genjutsu. This is jutsu that occurs through, for them, mostly through ocular means, which is through the eyes. And this is either allusions to stuff like Amaterasu flames, to even limbo clones from another plane of existence, essentially. And Madara, unfortunately, one of the tragedies of being an Uchiha is the only way to really unlock true power is through tragedy, sacrifice, and hardship. And he's had to kill his own family members. He's had to kill friends. He's been almost killed by someone that was at one point one of his best friends. And this has led Madara to have this like god complex overall, to where he believes he's best fit to come back and rule the world and bring peace to the ninja world through means of warfare and power. Madara has things like the Rinnegan at his disposal. Narratively, we'll probably consider him with the tailed beast as well, and has even been able to neg jutsus put over him, such as seals and things of that nature, which makes him really hard to keep down, narratively especially. Like, he basically lost to a weak plot point. That was it. So,
True.
Besides that, Madara is basically the god of shinobi, and he's a monster with all forms of jutsu, and is a total beast on the battlefield. So, to set this battle up, I think it's best we look at it. So, these four, that's how I wanted to go. So, these four for Team Yusuke, we're going to pull up on Sensui, right? But Kuwabara got mad and cut through a dimension. And the team goat falls through. And when they do, they're displaced to the battlefield where Madara now is standing. And we'll say Madara won. There's no Kaguya BS or anything. Madara defeated everybody. Plot did not defeat him. And now, standing before him are 4 new individuals. So, what's your first thoughts on this, Lumos?
So if all of these guys roll up on Madara, and I'm assuming this is like final form Madara, like right at the end of everything, right?
Yeah, this is him at his strongest.
Yeah, so if they roll up on him, let's just say he defeated the entire Shinobi Alliance, man, and they roll up on him. Man, if they do, there is not a doubt in my mind that Yusuke is going to see what's going on here and just immediately jump in to see what's going on. They're all going to be able to sense how crazy Madara is, because his presence would be rather absurd, or rather large, obviously, and Yusuke's not going to stand for it. And I think Kuwabara will back him, and along with everyone else, and they're going to roll straight into him. And Madara's got a lot of interesting abilities and hacks that's going to make it frustrating, I think, to start at least, for a lot of the characters to really like get to him or really see some of the higher end potential just to start.
I think what would be interesting too, since this is pre-awakened Yusuke we're considering, I think his awakening in this battle would come through Madara has a narrative desire to like face true power in his opponents, like their best essentially, and getting stronger through that. And so he did this with Might Guy for a great example. He might sense that inherited power from Ryzen within Yusuke and try to draw it out.
I think that Madara would look at him, and he would ironically, as you said, since this is quite literally the sense, or this would be quote unquote like the Sensui arc for him, I think that Madara would literally serve that purpose to him. And Yusuke would be asking, like, why are you doing all this? You're a madman. And he's going to be like, well, I don't believe in a world where there should be losers. And I think that disconnect, I think, between those two would be very interesting narratively to kind of wander, in my opinion. But I definitely see them as not buying into anything he's got to say and throwing hands.
Yeah, and at this point, I think narratively, initially the battle's going to favor Madara. He's going to be throwing a lot at them where most of them, besides Kurama for the most part, well, even Kurama with his like whips, they're kind of conventional in terms of combat. Like they will approach from a melee style more so initially. And it might get them into some trouble narratively early on. And I could even see like someone like Kuwabara either dying outright pretty early on, or something like that happening, or Yusuke just straight up getting dragged because he's so strong that he would press Madara to actually be like, okay, I need to. If you're not going to be the big dog, you're either going to die from this or you're going to be the big dog that I want to fight, and would blast away Yusuke, which would lead to his awakening. At that point, I think we would get a badass. Okay, tell me this wouldn't be badass. Kuwabara. Okay, so Kuwabara's dead. It's Kurama and Hiei, and we are assuming Yusuke's dead, or they think Yusuke's dead.
Yeah.
It's just Kurama and Hiei standing against Madara. And you just see fucking Hiei take off all his seals and blast away at the Susanoo. Like, just trying to cook Madara alive. Because we know for a fact, when the chips are down, Kurama and Hiei will go out swinging.
They go all out.
That's all they know. Like, that's like... They saw Sensui blast away their strongest teammate, like by far, and they're like, "Fuck it, we're going down swinging." So,
and that'll lead Kurama potentially to going just full Yoko if possible at this point in time, and that would be really crazy because he would see that. I think Madara would see that as an affront, ironically enough, because he may see that as similar to being like first Hokage Hashirama, and I think that would bother him. He would definitely poke and prod at that.
Yeah, this would be a tough-ass fight with unleashed full power. Hiei Kurama just going all out. This isn't even their world, so they're probably not going to be that pressed to preserve the land. So this battle would be crazy, and I think they would probably lose. I don't think they'd die, but they'd probably lose, and that's when awakened Yusuke would come in. Now, I don't see Madara surviving this fight. Only because Kuwabara is dead.
Yeah, he's taking this one for real. And though Madara, I think, has like a lot of hacks and stuff like that running up, just narratively, the way he was written, he just showed up and he smashed people in that awakened form.
This might be a hot take, but this is how I actually see this going. He shows up awakened, right? They get into a legit brawl. I think Madara would I think he'd absorb Kuwabara's power or something. And this would cause Yusuke to go ballistic to the point that he has that moment of pure raw freak out he had against Sensui where he one-shot him. And I think he might accidentally do it again.
Yeah, honestly, it would be worse in this situation, especially if he's got like teammates just flat out dying. He didn't even really require that in the last time. He just woke up and was like, "Okay, I'm going ham now. I'm not going to lose again. I'm literally going to go hunt that guy down." So if he's got teammates dying left and right, imagine if we saw another power boost or like power level amp like we did in the Tournament of Power where he thought Kuwabara died. Imagine that again.
I could see something crazy too where it was like, so for Naruto fans that aren't as familiar with Yu, by the way, you got to read both series for those watching. Sure. You just have to for the culture. But if you like in Yu Yu Hakusho, your aura, your presence literally kills those that are not as strong. And I think what we potentially might see play out is Madara simply not being strong enough to withstand awakened frenzy freak out Yusuke. And Yusuke like basically burning him alive. Like just as his like just literally incinerating him with his aura as he's like beating him.
Yeah, he would like Yusuke once he starts freaking out, dude. It's gonna be a real rough time because he's just gonna start wiling really hardcore on Madara, and Madara is gonna be in a really panic state because none of his like crazy hacks abilities and stuff are going to actually start affecting or harming him, and that's going to be really unfortunate for him narratively.
And I do want people to understand that I don't think narratively Hiei and Kurama pissed off going all out are an easy battle for Madara.
No.
It would be interesting, and I think by the time and narratively, Yusuke was stated when he was awakened to be infinitely beyond what he was before, and then when he had that freak out, he was stated to be 1,000,000 times stronger than that infinite state. So it's gotta be like the power of Ryzen narratively is wild as shit.
Strong.
Yeah. So in a hard-fought battle, I do see Team Yusuke coming out on top, but I think that it's way worse for them than it was narratively against Sensui. What do you think?
Yeah, like Sensui didn't want to just like flat out kill them. That wasn't his goal whatsoever. His goal was simply to traverse to the other side. If Sensui genuinely wanted to, I think Sensui could have killed multiple of them, and he just that wasn't his goal. But in this situation, Madara's goal most definitely is going to be eliminate them if he can't stop them and throw them inside that tree. He doesn't care. He's willing to take a few L's, or he's willing to give a few people L's in order to make sure everyone has W's for sure. Yeah, at least in his eye.
Yeah, it'd be a dope battle, but I think narratively, Team Yusuke, after a loss of life on their end and a wary battle, they would defeat Madara. If you guys want to see the rematch in which we do a standard versus battle, run the likes up to over 100. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out Lumos. He covers a lot of content, including Lantern content. So if you like Green Lanterns, DC Comics, and power scaling, definitely go check him out. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons and Lumos. I'm going to let them say bye as well. And it's been The Coffee Shop. Peace.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Check out the channel. I'd love being here and discussing this action. And we'll catch you later, Lanterns.